You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie 'em to the ground. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at. Ain't turning back around. You can't stop me.
Hey everybody, it's me again, Jamie from DutchCraftBuilders. Look, we've been pouring our work that we've been preparing for the last, well, it was a little over a month, but it's poured the right way. I'll show you over there how I did that. When you're pouring a slab, like when you're pouring any kind of concrete. But I'll show you how we did that. I made a little setup here so you can get an idea of what we've been doing. Now this, I put this here just to get an idea of, this would be then the rebar work in our slab. Because I like to show the importance that the concrete can flow nicely underneath. You see, I got here an example of the typical gravel that is in your concrete. Now it should not be of a greater size than 3/4 of an inch, but sometimes you do get chunks like this. And if this cannot flow freely underneath your rebar, it could get stuck. And that's not what you want. You want a free flow. So we raise our rebar to the right height. Now to do that, common practices, people would put these kind of stones underneath. But I don't really like them because, you see, if you just step on it, or people go with wheelbarrows, it will crush because it's not hard enough. So that's why we use these stones. These are actually a byproduct of the gravel machine. So these you won't crush. Very important. Now put them underneath, make sure that it doesn't go around, and then concrete goes freely under it, then you get a good slab. So we also, before we pour the concrete on this ceiling, make sure that we put all our wiring in place. Now we do that by using these tubes with the wires in. Now I got asked the other day, why do you use such a thin tubes? That's way too thin, because, you know, common practices, you would see big tubes in the ceiling going from all the light points to other connections. And then after the fact, when the slab is already poured, people would hire an electrician to then run the wires through it. And they obviously like a bigger tube because, yeah, well, that's better to pull your wires through, because you don't want to be pulling your wires, then you will have the risk to make them thin. But we at DutchCraftBuilders, we don't hire an electrician to do that. We do everything ourselves, the all electric works. So we already put the wires in there, then we put them in the ceiling. That way we can use a small tube. And that's actually way better because you can understand it's a weak point. If you put throw like a 1-inch pipe into your concrete, sometimes even across each other, you are just weakening your slab. So we don't do that. We just like to do everything and put everything in place before the pour. And that's really the way to do it, because I mean, if you buy a car, you have your light right there and that's where you want it. It doesn't make sense to be able to, oh, I also want a light over there or over there. You can think about that before you pour your slab.
So when you say that you do all electrical work, you mean more clearly that you run all the wires?
Exactly.
Later you have an electrician come and finish off the job.
Yes, so we do all the wiring. So we discuss with our client where he wants his electrical points. Then we run all the wiring to a central point, label them all so they are ready to be installed in a technical box by the electrician.
Right, so the electrician basically does the finishing.
Exactly, he finishes. Yeah, we only do all wiring. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
I just wanted to add for clarity again. I mean, common practice over here is you have a concrete structure made. Then when it's made, the electrician guys gets called in, and they are gonna run the wires. But that's not the right way to do it. You do it all before you pour the concrete. You get all your wiring in place. That's what we do. Another thing I get asked a lot about concerning electrics is well, people having concerns. Why do they pay so much for their electricity bill? Or 1 month is way different than the other month, and that yeah, people ask me about that, and I have my little idea about that, because you see, I run into these connections that are just being poorly made. Over here, people, common practice is they would just twist these wires together and put a tape on it, and that's your connection. I'll demonstrate you how they do that. So here you got 2 wires. Now a typical connection over here would be like this. Now this is a bit loose, you see. If you're lucky, they would put some pliers on it and then twist it a little more like this. But as you can imagine, you get copper strands breaking already. Now then they would put, you see, this is very sturdy wire. I like to use soft wire and make, well, I'm going to show you how I make my connection. But then they would do it like this. And here's your connection. This is the way, well, you can see it if you open any house over here in the electrical cupboard, and you see connections like this. Now this is not the way to go. I'll show you how we do that at DutchCraftBuilders. We solder all our connections. So let me just take an example here. I also use soft braided wire, because then it's easier for my tin to go through it. So I connect these like so, and then let me see. We heat them up with a soldering gun. Now soldering is, it's not just putting a clump of tin on there. We got to make sure that the heat goes through the copper from the bottom up, and then our tin goes through it from the top down. So I'll just make a little connection here. Now you see, I touch the copper from the top. Now it comes flowing out on the bottom. And now you get a good connection that will last you a lifetime. Now, we don't use tape to insulate our connection. We do that. Let me just take this soldering gun out. We use shrinking tube. Put the one over here. These tubes shrink when you heat them up, so we put them over here. And we take our heat gun. And we shrink that right on there. And now you got a good connection. Yeah. Okay, just to clarify again, poor connections, poor electrical connections like these, they result in all kind of issues. Amongst them, higher energy consumption than you would actually consume, because it's just because of poor connections, you lose energy. Yeah, make your connections good.
Resistance, right?
Yeah, yeah.
With you.
So right now we are preparing the rebar to put the rest of the columns on the next level. While in the meantime, obviously curing our slab, so we make sure that this slab is always kept wet.
That's why you have the plastic on it, right?
Yeah, because if you just wet it down with a hose once a day, it's not enough, because with this Caribbean sun and the wind, it will dry right out, and we need to keep it wet. So that's why we also, for example, we put this round column here, we put the hose on top of it so it keeps wet, because this is very fresh. We just poured it yesterday. We're going to use the same form to pour another 4, then make this the cover of the patio area, and then we're going to the next level. And we're going to build a hoist to bring all our materials up electrically. That's going to be pretty fun, so maybe you can see that next time. That's going to be cool.
You can't stop me now.